I am Jamie Robinson Joseph, and I am a non-binary person. A lot of people like to ask, like, what does that mean? Well, what does like non-binary mean? It just means that I refuse to put myself in a box when I am describing my gender to somebody. I grew up in Georgia, and all the way up until I was 16, I was very reluctant to even express anything that was like feminine or kind of telling of being gay. But deep down inside, I still always knew that there was something different. And it was that white horse in the back of my mind that I never wanted to talk about with anybody. But I knew I was gonna eventually have to face it. When I came out to my mom, it was actually quite poetic. This particular night, I had already been contemplating it, how it was going to come out. And I just remember saying, like, Mom. She was like, what? What? And I was like, I'm gay. And she actually sat up. She was like, what'd you say? And I was like, I'm gay. And in that moment, a normal person would cry, but me of all people, my Gemini ass, I just tensed up and I was bracing for the worst. I didn't care if anybody else rejected me, but her reaction was the most important. And she was just like, I'm just surprised, but I still love you the same, and that'll never change. And she ended up getting up and giving me a hug. I think the tone went from being like talking about gay people to them now thinking of ways to protect me. And that overprotection actually came to rub a little bit. And then fast forward to my freshman year of college, I get here, and it was like I'm in a whole new city. I get to be who I want. I'm gonna be out. And for a while, I was kind of focused on trying not to make it my identity, but at the same time, I was gay AF. Each phase in high school kind of helped me progressively get to where I was when I got here freshman year, and then that helped continue. It was like a big snowball effect. When I finally got away from my parents, I experimented with everything. It was the first time I experimented with makeup. It was the first time I had did anything that was considered androgynous. I finally got myself out of that box, because for the longest time I was programmed to stay within men's clothes, men's fashion, men's this. It needs to be for guys, it needs to be for boys. When deep down inside I was like, it's literally the same damn thing. I felt a sense of like, I need to still stay within this box just for my safety, but I was kind of like peeking out of it a little bit. And it wasn't until I actually got to USA Spectrum that I completely just kicked the door open, and everything was like, it started becoming up for grabs.
Right now we're headed to Spectrum, or USA Spectrum, and I am heading there a little earlier because I'm an officer, and part of my job as an officer is to like make sure that the room is set up and we're ready for the meeting and everything. Right now I have a bag of all of our flags and all the other gay stuff that helps us prepare and make the room what it's supposed to be for the meeting. Had I not found or joined Spectrum, I wouldn't have found a steady friend group. I wouldn't have found reliable friends. The friends that I had freshman year were terrible. The more I got acquainted with Spectrum, the more I became more socially aware of certain issues, the more research I started doing, the more I even came to learn my own identity and understand why I felt uncomfortable with certain things. Had I not found Spectrum, I probably wouldn't be the same person, honestly.
3 years ago, this was while I was still in my second relationship. I was afraid to like actually start expressing myself as like more effeminate or more like other gender expressions other than just your typical masculine male. And it took him to actually have to tell me, well, I kind of already see, like, I could see you as being gender fluid. I legitimately felt more feminine one day or one moment, and then more masculine other moments. Come to find out, I didn't want to think of it on a scale. It wasn't a sliding scale for me. It was just always like, this is who I am. So I went from being between 2 points on a scale to outside of that, non-binary. Binary being male, female, non-binary being neither male nor female. And I know that that's kind of a rough way to explain it, but the best way I can explain it from my perspective, Prince, the artist Prince, he says in his song, I Will Die For You, or I Would Die For You, the very first lyrics are, I'm not your man, I'm not your woman, I'm something that you'll never understand. And as soon as I started actually looking at Prince, I was like, so that's what I'm allowed to do. And that box that I was trying to creep out of, I just jumped out. I was like, there's no need for this anymore. How I deal with emotions is I just don't talk about them. I bottle them up and I express them through art. And I had started just trying to express it in the clothes that I was doing, express it in fashions that I was trying. And I started playing around with different patterns and different fabrics and things. Fashion was just something I was always into. So I initially started off just embellishing clothes and adding things to clothes, adding these beads and rhinestones to this jacket. In the past, people have known me for my hats because I used to experiment a lot with hats. So through that long dissertation, I hope the one thing that you pick up on is be unapologetically yourself. Forget anything anybody ever says about that type of person, because at the end of the day, you're gonna be known for you. Whenever I go anywhere else off campus, I get stares. I don't give a damn. At this point, I am who I am. And you'll either respect me or you'll just walk away. But either way, I'm taking that respect, and you should too.